What about the sense of sacred spaces where, we can, part of the preparation, like you were talking about, David, where preparation is so important, and the continued use of a sacred space seems to give it or impart to it a presence that lingers and can linger
That's
for
so
quite a
true.
while.
That's so true. And in the Orthodox Church, with icons, really created liturgical space is a whole study when people combine art and symbolism and iconography. Um, Going back to ancient times, pre-lit. Of course, the Greeks were literate, but so much of the world was not. Um, that creating that space is so powerful, and even, of course, what they did in the high of church architecture in Europe is just astonishing. To go into some of those cathedrals, it's just overwhelming, especially for an American that had an American Methodist who grew up in nothing of the sort. Um, so yes, it's so
Mm.
powerful.
Well, we one of the reasons I am a believer in institutional churches like organized religion is because organized religion can create temples and maintain spaces and um, uh, uh, as a refuge from the desacralization of modernity. I mean, uh, the United States, public spaces in the United States are just they're a flipping wasteland and so dehumanizing, and and that's such a conversation in itself. But um, churches with like temple churches with open doors um,
Yeah, I mean, even
are like a refuge, an oasis, Yeah.
yeah, like we were just in Western New York visiting my in-laws and out from Buffalo, in North Collins, which is the middle of farm country nowhere. 100 years ago, there was a guy who I think got his ordination out of a Cracker Jack box. As far as I can tell, no one, no one ever officially did anything to him. Father John Alvarez, and he's founded this little church that's still there called Sacred Heart of Mary, and um, and it was all just hand built by these Italian farmers out in the sticks without, they were so unofficial. And he was kind of a healer and a wonder worker and all these. He died in 1978. But you walk in that place and it's just on.
Mm, mm,
Like, you're like, okay, I don't know what it is. Like, whether it's like, is it him? Is it all the devotion and prayer that's been poured into this place by the people that built all of this with their hands, and have tended it all these years? But it is just on. I mean, it reminded me of nothing so much as being in San Francisco and going into the Russian cathedral where John Maximovich is where his shrine is. I mean, it was just like, whoa, whatever this is like this place is turned on. Um, on the other hand, and like I have the benefit of serving in a beautiful, also very handmade place, which I greatly appreciate. But I've been in other settings where things have had to be improvised in living rooms and basements and crazy places. And I think there is something about like when you've lived inside of these temple spaces, and you can sort of fold that down and then fold that inner pattern back out, you can make amazing things work in spaces that aren't that. But it's that, how do you how do you energetically unfold that pattern in the temporary space that has to be used? And there's, I think, a certain art to that, but it can be made to work.
One secular space that I found to have that kind of presence in a different way, but is the Shaker Colony in Pleasant Hill, Kentucky. You walk in and it's like, immediately just in the architecture itself, the sparseness of it and
Mm.
the cleanness. There's kind of a spiritual cleanliness to it that is
Yeah.
really, really remarkable.
Yeah.
Very
I mean,
serious.
and the Shaker villages all have that feeling. South Union is not too, if you come back through here, we'll drive up to South Union. It's about 45 miles north of here.
Oh,
It's the
good.
southernmost one that they had in Kentucky. Pleasant Hill's closer to Lexington.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, powerful even when people have been gone from there for a long time.